I really wish we could just log online and enjoy playing games and talking to our friends without having to worry about a brand new legal disaster, but here we are once again. If you thought the recent drama with certain gaming algorithms like Roblox forcing developers to beg for engagement was rough, you might want to sit down for this one. We're going to look into a brand new legal battle where the state of Texas is going straight to the throat of one of the biggest social media platforms known as Discord. We are going to break down the original lawsuit from the Attorney General regarding severe child safety issues, then we'll look at the immediate legal victory that followed in the courts, and finally, we'll dive deep into how the community is reacting and why everyone is terrified that this is going to lead to the exact same lazy AI moderation that completely ruined other platforms recently. So let's get right into the details of this mess. It all starts with an official announcement from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who recently filed a landmark lawsuit against Discord for deceiving parents and exposing children to bad actors. Now, I know legal talk can be really boring sometimes, but we really need to pay attention to the specific word that they use here because it completely exposes how these companies operate behind closed doors when they think nobody is watching them. So Paxton stated that they opened an investigation back in October 2025 after some very serious reports came out about the platform being used by dangerous individuals, including a person who went after a political figure named Charlie Kirk. And it was also reported that the app is highly addictive and exposes younger users to severe actions and content on a daily basis. Now, the crazy part about all of this is that the company actually tried to defend itself before the lawsuit even hit the public. They've repeatedly claimed that safety was at the core of everything they do and that it's fully integrated into the design process, but the Attorney General completely called them out on this lie and did not hold back at all. He pointed out that they made deliberate product decisions that default to every single account setting towards maximum exposure. This means that when a new user signs up, their profile is essentially wide open to the public by default, which is the exact opposite of being safe by design, and also shows how much they prioritize user engagement over actual safety. And to make matters even worse, the lawsuit highlights that they staff their most critical safety functions with unpaid volunteers. Yes, you heard that correctly, guys. A multi-billion-dollar company relies on random unpaid internet moderators to handle their most critical safety issues instead of actually hiring real professionals to do the job right the first time. And because of these incredibly lazy design choices, the consequences have been truly tragic for the users involved. The lawsuit then details some very specific and heartbreaking cases that prove exactly why this platform needs a complete overhaul before things get even worse. But just for the sake of how severe it is, compared to the overarching point I want to discuss, I'm not going to go in depth in it, just know that it's really bad. The Attorney General noted that despite getting direct warnings from multiple federal agencies, the company completely refused to change the design choices that made this kind of legal activity possible. So now, Ken Paxton is stepping in and seeking to force him to default all safety settings to maximum protection for new accounts, and he wants them to implement age verification under a new law called the Scope Act. He's also demanded they pay back all revenue derived from this conduct and face civil penalties of up to $10,000 per violation, which could easily bankrupt them if they are not careful with how they proceed. And the craziest part about this whole legal battle is how fast the courts actually moved to strike down the company. Shortly after the initial announcement, Ken Paxton posted an update saying he just secured a landmark victory against the platform. He reiterated that the company built a product that funneled bad actors to kids by default and then sold parents on a lie that it was safe by design. But after filing the lawsuit, a Texas judge immediately ordered the company to stop both direct defaults and lying to the public. Paxton made it clear that they were warned by the FTC, the Senate, and 5 different state attorney generals, but they changed nothing until they were legally forced to do so by a judge. Now, you would think everyone online would be trained for this victory, right? Well, the community response is actually really divided, and it brings us to very valid points about how these forced updates might completely destroy the user experience for normal people who use the app every day. The real fear coming from the community is perfectly summarized by a user named Talcow, who said they really hope this lawsuit makes things safe without destroying the platform in the exact same way that Roblox got ruined recently. They pointed out that this is supposed to be a social communication platform for users 13 and older, and the whole intention is to be able to freely speak to people without jumping through a million hoops. They warn that if the company resorts to age estimation or child segregation, the entire experience is going to be completely ruined for everyone else who just wants to hang out. They suggested that a better way to handle this is just to take down the horrible servers and ban the people running them instead of punishing innocent users with overbearing restrictions. And honestly, I agree with that sentiment because we all know exactly what happens when these corporations panic over a massive lawsuit. They do not sit down and hire thousands of human moderators to carefully review reports and clean up the platform the right way. Instead, they take the cheapest and laziest route possible and just force everyone to hand over their government identification to an automated system. This leads right into what a username term brought up when they replied asking why everything needs to be fixed before its age verification. And if we look closely at what Chern actually posted, it really puts things into perspective. The screenshot specifically highlights the part where the state is demanding the platform implement age verification pursuant to the Scope Act, along with those crazy $10,000 civil penalties. Sharon pointed this out directly shows the exact disconnect between the government and the actual people using the app. The courts see a forced ID check and a massive fine as the ultimate fix for safety, but the actual users reading that document know exactly what it really means. It means the company is going to panic over those $10,000 fines and just build a massive annoying wall that requires everyone to hand over their personal documents. Another person named River replies saying they have to verify age in some way, but debated at least intrusive method is a real issue at hand. But then Sharon dropped the absolute biggest truth nuke of this entire situation that perfectly highlights why everyone is so terrified of these new safety laws. They brought up the fact that this specific company already had a huge data leak involving over 70,000 users. They reminded everyone about the number of times the company promised that user data was not being used and would be deleted, only for that to turn out to be completely false later on when the leaks happened. And to make the situation even more ridiculous, they point out the age verifying system they use is run by someone who's currently facing legal action for selling data to government officials. So the state of Texas is demanding that this app implement strict age verification to protect kids from bad actors, but the only way these companies know how to do that is by forcing you to hand over your highly sensitive personal information to sketchy third-party vendors who have a history of leaking your data to the entire public. It's a complete lose-lose situation for the average person who just wants to chat with their friends online without having their identity stolen or sold to the highest bidder. And this brings us to a really interesting point made by a user named Joe Mama, who called this entire lawsuit a massive win by actually missing the tragic irony of the whole situation. They said they're tired of big corporations doing the bare minimum and putting everything through AI to handle reports instead of paying real humans. They put out that companies will double down on strict age restrictions rather than actually hiring real people to do moderation correctly the first time around. And while they're completely right about how lazy these companies are, I don't think they're necessarily correct about this lawsuit being a victory. Think about it for a second, guys. The government is literally demanding strict age verification and threatening massive financial penalties. So what do you think the company is going to do? They're not going to magically hire 10,000 human moderators to fix a problem carefully. They're just going to panic and build an even larger AI moderation system that forces every single user to upload their personal identification just to chat with their friends. This is the exact corporate playbook we've been talking about for weeks now, and it's happening everywhere you look. A giant tech company refuses to spend money on real human moderators, so they rely on cheap AI moderation and unpaid volunteers to do all the heavy lifting. The automated bots inevitably fail, so stop real criminals from hurting people on the app, because AI does not understand context or nuance. The company then gets sued by the government for millions of dollars, and in a complete panic, they decide to punish the regular users by forcing them to scan their personal identification cards and dealing with even stricter automated filters that do not even work properly just to comply with the court orders. It is not a win for anyone. It is a never-ending cycle of corporate greed and incompetence that ruins the internet and forces honest people to hand over their private data just to have a good time with their communities. Now, it is very obvious that we need to protect younger users from these dangerous individuals, and I really do hope that this legal action forces the company to actually clean up their servers and make a net positive change for everyone involved. But forcing every single person to hand over private data to a broken AI system just because a corporation is too cheap to hire a real moderation team is a complete disaster waiting to happen, and people really need to be pushing back against the lazy solutions before every single app becomes unusable. I'd really love to hear what you guys think about this whole legal situation and whether you trust these platforms with your personal information. So make sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But before I end this video, I want you guys to make sure to leave a like, hype this video, help me get to 20,000 subs before the end of this year, and click on the bell to get notifications, because that would absolutely mean the world to me, guys. And with that being said, thank you all for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.